Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad. We are your hosts, Jesper Rivers and Eric Miller. And today we are talking about the tool that is taking over the world. 100 million users in 2 months, of course, can only be one thing: Chat GPT. Artificial intelligence is finally taking over our industry, Eric.
Well, yeah, it's taking over everything. I didn't realize it had that many users in that time frame. You said 100 million in 2 months?
It's seen the by far the highest adoption rate of any consumer tool or product ever in the history of the world, I believe.
Really unbelievable, man. Yeah, it's crazy. I was sharing, with you last week that whenever there's a new tool or something that comes out, I have this tendency of kind of like watching from the sidelines and not getting involved right away. Like crypto is one of them, for example. Like as everyone was freaking out and getting involved in it, I was just kind of watching from the sidelines. And I'm with that with everything though, music and movies, all the things. And with Chat GPT, I was just kind of watching. I'm like, all right, I know OpenAI is an incredible source, and this thing is really interesting, but I didn't see the power of it right away. And then I started noticing last week that every single person, every business owner I've spoken to, or entrepreneur or forward thinker, has been talking about this tool and how they're introducing it to their everyday life to save on productivity, but then also trying to figure out how to bring it into their business. And I realized, I was like, holy crap, this is not like crypto, where crypto is, you have people that are immersed into it and they're in the industry and their life is crypto, but it hasn't been fully accepted yet by society in any way. And I think we have a long way to go before we really understand the full before it becomes like a norm, right? But now what I'm noticing with Chat GPT is that everybody is using it and everyone is adapting it into their everyday life. And I notice, I'm like, oh, it's just like Google. It's not going anywhere. It's something that everyone's going to use. And now it's time for us to figure out how to integrate this into our business. So yeah, it's going to be fun to talk about this, man. And I know you've been using it a lot more than I have. We actually were using it the other day to try to plan out our wedding, and it was kind of crazy to see the info that they give us. But yeah, we're using that and alongside some other AI tools for FreeWild, coming up with imagery and text, the whole thing. So how about this, man? Why don't we start, for people who don't know what it is, try to do your absolute best to dumb it down and kind of explain what Chat GPT is. Yeah. Why don't you kind of walk everybody through what the high level of it?
Essentially, it's a chat bot. So you can say something to the bot and it's going to give you an answer, right? So it's not just a content generator. And a lot of people are using it instead of Google now, because you can use it like Google. You can ask it a question and it'll give you an answer. But it's different, right? Because it'll give you a straight up answer versus a list of websites that you then click on and trying to find the information that you want to have, right? So it's a chatbot. It's a machine learning tool, so it can learn, like as you're using it, it can learn from from what you're telling it. It's based on like language models. It's super sophisticated, and I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't fully understand.
Nobody does, dude. I put you on the spot. So nobody understands it. Yeah, I was talking to what you just said. Like, I was talking to my friend Eric James, who's a serial entrepreneur, one of the smartest people I know, and obsessed with AI. And he has a couple of AI companies, and we were talking about this. And he was telling me that this weekend of like how Chat GPT, it's a learning tool. It's truly AI, because he put something in there on how to design this certain tool for his company. And it came back with a whole list immediately. It came back with a list of how to build this tool. And what he was saying was it was completely the wrong way of doing it. It wasn't like you search Google and then you get a list of all these websites of people who are teaching you how to build this tool the right way. What he was saying was like the tool, the Chat GPT, was actually thinking about how to solve the problem and created its own solution to it. And he's like, this isn't the best way of doing it. It is a way of doing it, but it's not the most efficient way of doing it, as per the industry. So it's kind of scary that it's actually a tool that's thinking and giving their perspective of how to build something, which is nuts, right? But yeah, it's going to constantly grow as well. And yeah, you could do anything from use it as Google, from, you know, what Samantha and I were doing. We're like, give us the top 10 wedding venues in the country that has a Western theme that can house 200 people, that doesn't have a time limit on when, you know, how long the wedding can go. And like you put all these criteria in, and then it says instantly, it just gives you a list of 10 spots that fit all that criteria. And it's all throughout the country. Right. So you could use it as like a customized Google in a way, search engine, but you could also use it. And this is the whole reason why we're bringing this up on this podcast, is like, you could also use it to create content and create things for you. Right. So, you know, I have a friend, Sean, who just launched the book publishing company developing children's books on Chat GPT, where he puts in like, write me a book of 1,000 words for grades, 1 to 3, telling the story of this person overcoming this challenge, but do it in Mary Poppins voice. Right. And then instantly you have a book, right. Which is crazy. So it's a powerful tool. And let's talk about how we're using it in the Airbnb space.
Yeah. It's definitely a super powerful tool. And I'll just add one thing to this, like, because we can use it in different ways. We can use it for inspiration, and we can use it for creating content. But also what's really powerful to it, like you can set it to create some content. So for example, right, like I've been playing around with it to create photo captions for our listing, right? And description for the Airbnb listing, right? And it comes up with really good stuff. But what's really powerful is like you can have it create a caption and then say, okay, well, I don't like this one. Give me 3 different ones, and it'll just write you 3 different ones, right? And then you say like, okay, and now adjust this caption in a way that I can put it on Instagram, and it immediately like it. To put some emoticons in there, it puts like, and then it's like, hey, and put some hashtags as well. And then it puts hashtags in there, right? So you can constantly tell it, if you don't like the result that it's giving you, you just tell it like, hey, I want, adjust it this way, and it will come up with an improved version. So there's so many uses, for us as Airbnb hosts, and creating, helping it with your Airbnb listing. That's just scratching the surface, right? But it's important because, we all know that it's important to update our listings. We all know it's important to have like content that helps the viewer like visualize the experience. And, not everybody is good at writing those in that way. So I see, I go through Airbnb listings of our students, often see like, very factual type of language in there, right? With like, this is the kitchen, right? And we have Wi-Fi, right? But that doesn't, our Airbnb listing is our sales page. We got to optimize that thing for people to get excited to book, right? So I think, this tool is going to be huge for people to not only create better content for the Airbnb listing, but then also allowing you to consistently update it as you're getting reviews. And that's just one tip I want to give everybody, is like the reviews that we have is such good information to give to Chat GPT to then create captions and description for us, because there's nobody that could sell your place better than the guests that have stayed at your place and they loved it, right? So yeah, you can, I mean, I was doing this, just today. I was saying like, hey, here's 5 reviews. Create a caption for our kitchen, our hot tub, and our fireplace. and boom, 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 it just busted it out, and they were
So
great
you're
captions.
so you took the actual Airbnb reviews from our previous guest, you uploaded it into the Chat GPT, and then you said, based on this info I just gave you, write me a caption for this.
Exactly, exactly. And it understands that, and it's a simple process, because what you do is, let's say I want to caption about our hot tub, right? What I do is I go to the reviews, and you know how you can search for terms in the reviews, like
Yep.
for words. So I just search all of our reviews on the word hot tub, and I just copy paste the reviews that mention the hot tub, and I just copy paste in Chat GPT, and I say, here's what our guests are saying about our hot tub. Turn this into free captions that we can use for a photo showing our hot tub. And yeah, it busts it out using the language that it finds in the reviews.
Unreal. Unreal. Yeah. So like this what I'm learning with the tool and how we're currently using, and we'll talk a little bit how we're also using other AI for free while, but the biggest part here is understanding who you're talking to and what voice you want it to talk into, to speak from, right? So uploading that information, but then also uploading the guest avatar information of who you're speaking to, right? So like that's the important part here, is knowing that when you're going to use this tool as an Airbnb host or as a business owner, you have to go through the thinking process to understand what do I want it to come up with? Where am I using this, and who am I speaking to? And adding that information in so the tool um, can generate the content in that voice, speaking to the person that you want it to speak to. Right. So that's the most
100%.
important part
Yeah.
here. It's not like just like write me a caption about a hot tub. Well, it can do that, but it's going to be, it's going to be random. You want to be as very specific on the info that you do want it to write, and you want to understand the voice that you want it to come from, and you want to understand what you want it to speak to at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Dude, 100%. And that's a really important point, because because like with any tool, the people that know how to use the tool the best are going to reap the biggest benefits,
Yep.
right? It's the early adopters and the people that understand how to use the tool. It kind of reminds me of when the first automated pricing apps came about. I still remember that, in 2014, I started using a pricing app for the first time, and not a lot of people were using it. And I immediately had like a record breaking month for my Airbnb, because nobody in my new neighborhood was using the pricing software yet. Right. And still until this day, it's like, yeah, you can have a pricing software to set your prices, but if you don't give it the right information, it's not going to do the best job possible, right?
Right.
So that's the same with this, right? Because there's so many uses, right? And think about like writing blog posts for your website, for example, right? If everyone's going to use it to write blog posts, all the blog posts are going to look the same. But if you give it specific information as to like, hey, write a blog post, but then include, write it towards this type of guest avatar, right? These are the people that are going to be reading it. Here's some information that's unique to us, to our business, to who we are. Here's our core values. Here's our, our brand voice, or whatever that is. Like when you give it all that information, now it's actually going to create unique content that Google probably is also going to recognize as unique content, because that's a whole other topic. But eventually people and Google are gonna ask like, hey, is this written by a real person, or is this written by the AI?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, that is a different conversation, and probably have to bring on a expert AI person to talk about that, to understand like how the search engines are going to shift based on this, right? Because if you have that many people using that tool, obviously, entrepreneurs are going to try to figure out how to save as much time as possible and create as much content as possible out there. So, yeah, a lot of the algorithms are going to have to change based on how this content is generated. And I see eventually, like, search engines and all of that, kind of showing you what is AI and what's human generated, and how that's created. And to be, to communicate too, it's not a perfect tool yet, right? It's like you still have to, whatever is written, you still have to go through and really update and kind of massage in your voice. It's not copy and paste right away. Some can be, but for the most part, you have to have that human aspect going through and ensuring that it actually makes sense, right? But yeah, I mean, I love that aspect of like, okay, every single host right now could just take their reviews on a certain topic, upload it into the tool, and then ask it to write a caption for the photos, and then repurpose it as social media content and get that out, right? And immediately you're repurposing a lot of stuff, and you have content that's pumping out about your listings and why people love it and the whole thing, which is amazing, right? Then what we can do as well, and what we're doing with FreeWild, is building out actual listings, descriptions, profiles, the whole thing, using certain information. But we can get these listings done so much faster without having to us sitting down and writing it or hiring a copywriter to come in, right? It's those aspects of understanding like what voice, what information do we want to deliver, and then who are we speaking to. And this is why it's so important. And what we do in the Legends X program with the vision pillar is so important, is to understand who is our avatar, how are we serving them, why are we serving them, right? Like we talk about this stuff all the time. This is another reason, more proof on why this is so important in this industry, is to get super clear on who you're serving with your properties, so then we can leverage it for tools like this, right? And the marketing side.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And talking about leveraging this tool on the marketing side, I just want to share like one of our members of the Rising Star Mastermind, which is the community of people that have gone through our Legends X program, our Legends X graduates. She posted just yesterday. She created an entire month worth of content for her property abundance plan. Property abundance plan is the plan that we teach to our students to constantly attract the right owners and properties into their business. And she's been trying to work on this for like about 3 weeks. And she said, with Chat GPT, I created a month worth of content in a few hours. Right. And that's in my opinion, this is the biggest power that I see is to get results with a lot of stuff. Like everyone's looking for the shortest way to get a new listing or to make more money, etc. But at the end of the day, the reality is consistency. Consistency is key with, especially with marketing, right? You have to consistently put yourself out there with the world, telling your story, telling what you do. You have to consistently share that with the world to get results. And this tool is going to allow a lot of people, and specifically short-term rental hosts, to do that, because number one, you can use it for inspiration. So you can say, hey, tell me 10 things I could write about. Here's my business. This is what I do. Here's where I'm located. And then you can also tell it like, okay, on those 10 things, write me a 2-paragraph caption that I can post on Instagram, or write me a 500-word blog post, or whatever your channel is. This is going to allow people to be consistent with their marketing. And I think that's a game changer.
100%. I love that Kimon posted that up. That was Kimon, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I love that she posted that up, because that's always one of the biggest challenges with the property abundance plan, is when we teach it, the whole concept is, depending on where you're at in your business, you have to, when you go to acquire, say you have a property management company in the short-term rental space, and you want to get more properties to come in, you have two options. You have the option of paying for the leads, and that's marketing, of investing in traffic, right? Which is very expensive. You need a lot of expertise, and you need to be patient with that process. Or two, you generate and you become the expert in your space, and you communicate to the owners and to your community about what you do, who you serve, how you serve them, and what makes you unique, right? And if you become the expert, and this is what we teach in the property abundance plan, this is the last thing we teach in Legends X, is the most powerful thing you can do, regardless of the size of your business, is become your local expert. So when they think of air quote Airbnb, they think of you, right? And then even further down is once you're clear on your guest avatar and you're clear on your property avatar and partner avatar. Partner avatar would be the owner of the property. Then you want to speak to those avatars in your marketing consistently to become that expert, right? And the biggest challenge that we have to get our students to adopt this and implement it is the consistency behind the content, right? They have constantly communicating on all these different channels of Facebook and Instagram and blogs and your personal website and the whole thing. This completely solves it, right? Because you don't have to be a world class at creating content. You just have to be consistently creating content, talking to your avatars, your property avatars and your guest avatar. So this solves it. And like Kimon just like took action and just absolutely crushed it, right? Of creating a month's worth of content for in just a couple hours. It's like, okay, well now every Friday you sit down for 4 hours, sit down for 2 hours, and you create another month's worth of content speaking to your avatars and then duplicating that across multiple different platforms, right? And then this is where the playbook comes into place, right? Of understanding how to track all that content and develop systems around doing this. So now you go from hours and hours and hours and hours of planning and content and all this stuff down to just a couple of hours of consistent action taking, right?
Exactly.
So the tool changes everything. And then once you get in the process from there, it's like, okay, well, as it starts growing, then you can hire someone to manage all that content for you and start creating your own style. But this is a great way just to get in there and start showing the world, your local market, that you're an expert through this content that you're creating. And it just takes a little bit of playing with this tool. So yeah, it's awesome to see that. We should check back up with her in a month to see how that content is going and how it starts scaling for her.
Yeah, 100%. And she's also going to jump on the podcast actually next week. So
awesome.
If you're listening to this, you're interested in knowing exactly how she did it, we'll keep you posted. Keep an eye out for the next couple episodes.
I love that.
But yeah, it's a complete game changer. And it's interesting because AI has been around for a long time, right? And just like you said, like you kind of ignore it until there's a point where you can't ignore it anymore, right? It's like it literally Chat GPT went in a couple of months went from you know about these things if you're part of a small group of people that are just really interested in it. And now it's like if you haven't heard about Chat GPT, you've been living underneath a rock. You know what I mean? Like it's gone so fast. It's crazy.
Well, what's interesting about it, and why for me, I was like, okay, let me dive into this, start playing with this tool. One is I thought that it was going to be very difficult to use, right? I thought that the tool itself was going to be very complicated, and that it was going to be something like crypto or Bitcoin, where you have to. There's so many layers to it, and so many there's so much to just understanding what a Bitcoin is and how to use it and where to store it and how to buy it and who uses it, who doesn't, there's so much to know with the crypto world that I was bringing that anticipation into this of this is going to be very difficult to use. If you can use Google, you can use Chat GPT. It's that simple, right? And it's it's super simple. So it's like to see so many people just take this on and start using it. And the more that people, this is the crazy part about this tool, the more that people use it, the smarter the tool gets. And it's a scary statement to say, but the more information that it takes in and creates, the smarter it gets, right? And if you have 100 million people on this tool in a couple of months, that's freaking unbelievable. So content is going to get better and better. That's coming out of that tool. We as adapters to this, early adapters to this, we have to get really good at understanding how to use the tool, right? So that just means being in there consistently using it, just like everything else, just consistently using it, pumping out content. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just done beats perfect, pump it out. And the best part about it doesn't take you long. So constantly update your Airbnb listings and your social media listings for these properties and see what converts the best, right? And that's just on the content side, right? Like the written side. There's other tools that we're starting to use now too, for specifically for FreeWild, that's helping us create the branding of the properties, right? So if everyone goes to find us on Instagram, it's Stay FreeWild. So at Stay FreeWild, FreeWyld. You'll see on there that we have a particular image that has it's a black and white image, and it's a bandana with roses on it, and we're creating merch for the company, right? So we're creating really cool stuff, from shirts to hats to bandanas to candles to soap, coffee. And this is all private label stuff, right? So other people make it, we partner with them, we put our labels on it, we resell it to or provide it to our guests. But we're doing it within the brand of FreeWild. It takes a lot to do that with the human aspect of it, of having finding a creative that aligns with your vision, and then sitting down with them and having them create it and go through the process, where we're using other tools. And if you look at that image on Instagram, it's a beautiful image. That was an AI generated image. We put up all the branding info into this tool and said, make us a bandana with these images, and it pops up, right? And it looks absolutely amazing. So there's another aspect to this of, like, you can use Chat GPT, and we've been preaching this forever, of creating a hospitality brand. And the hardest part of that is bringing all the elements to it, right? You can go into Chat GPT and say, okay, this is my business, this is where I'm located, this is who I'm serving, this is what makes us unique, these are the properties that we have. Create me a business name. Give me 50 business names, and I'll just pump out a ton of business names. Okay, great. Choose the one that you want. You go over to the other tools, and we'll list up all these tools that we use, and say, okay, now take this and create a logo using this name. So all these tools are expanding, and it can help you just get version 1 of your brand up and going, so you can start getting traction and credibility. And they look freaking amazing, right? So we're using it not only for the content side, but we're also using it for imagery, social media. We're using it for merchandise, and it's pretty incredible. I don't know if we're going to constantly do it. We need a creative to drive it. So our head of creative for FreeWild, Kay, who can create all this stuff herself, is leading the direction of it all. But it's coming out really freaking cool, man. And I think, I think for the hosts that are looking to develop their own brand, you can leverage these tools to quickly get something up and going that looks amazing.
Right. And then in the end of the day, like, you're going to put your own touch to it. You're going to put, you're not going to just take whatever it creates, but it's to get something on the drawing board, right? It's to have a starting point. And that's, it's so great. It's so powerful. I didn't even realize you were using it to that, to that extent. But there's also, I saw this other tool now where you can create text and then upload it to this tool, and then it turns it into a video with a person, like, speaking.
Yep.
Right. So,
dude, it's unbelievable, man. And it's like, I think the biggest part of this is, like, we have to get used to that the things have changed, and they change that freaking fast. With the adoption of Chat GPT and all these other tools that are coming out, if you're not leveraging technology in your business right now, you don't have to be an expert at it, but you have to leverage it. You have to be familiar with it. You're going to be left behind. It's the same way that old vacation rental managers ignored this new trend of Airbnb and short-term rental travel. They're getting left behind, and they have been left behind to the modern short-term rental operators, right, and brands. It's the same thing that's happening with tech. Yeah, you can, like, that tool is unbelievable. Anything that you have that is automated, anything that you have when it comes to sales outreach, marketing, content creation, follow-ups, whatever it is, all of that is going to be all of that's going to be led through AI tools, and it's happening now. Like, it's not like, again, I think crypto is the best example of this, of, like, this new exciting thing that is revolutionary, but it hasn't really been adapted by society 100%. And we're far off from that happening because it's too damn complicated. Where these tools, you punch in a couple of things and you instantly get what you're looking for. And man, I'm telling you, if we don't stay on top of this stuff, we're going to be left behind by companies that are innovating this, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%. No, I definitely 100% recommend everybody to, if you haven't played with it yet, just Google it. You can create an account. There's been a bit of a challenge with like creating new accounts. When I tried it first a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't get an account because they were just overloaded.
Yeah, so there's a small wait list. We should mention that there definitely is a small wait list, but they are moving pretty quick, right, on it. So it could take a couple of days, maybe take a week to get on the platform, but there is a wait list. It's not like you just sign up. It's just they're getting overloaded right now with the amount of users. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, but it is pretty fast. Like I got my account within a couple of days.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, highly recommend if you haven't used it yet, go check it out. Like Eric said, it's very easy. If you can use Google, you can use this and start getting familiar with it, and start thinking about like how can you apply this in your business. We did a small training as well in the Profit Club that you can check out. If you just go on Facebook and look for Airbnb Profit Club, you can join our group. We're doing trainings every single week in that group. You can always sign up at overnightsuccess.io/training. So every single week, you just go to the URL. You can sign up for our next training. But the one that we just did was on Chat GPT, so you can learn a little bit more there. But yeah, 100%. I recommend everybody jump on this now because the stuff's moving fast. Like you wait a couple months and you're kind of behind,
Yeah. So, yeah, and then with that said, too, for the ones that really want some more support and want to get plugged into this, we're going to be doing a lot more AI training and bringing in different experts and service providers into the Rising Star Mastermind. So we're going to be announcing in the next week or so, maybe even next week, what we're doing with that group. But if you guys are interested in doing that, reach out to us. What's the best email for them to contact us?
team@overnightsuccess.io.
Yeah, team@overnightsuccess.io. If you want to be part of our Rising Star Mastermind, we're gonna be announcing this shortly, but that's gonna start being open to professional operators. And in that group, we're gonna have a focus where we're going deeper into AI, understanding how to leverage it, not just on the marketing side, but for companies as a whole. We're gonna personally be using it for outreach, marketing, CRMs, like the whole thing. We are not experts in this at all. Just want to, clarify we're early users of this, but one thing that we have a good benefit of having is this large community, so we can bring in the experts to teach us. So if you guys are interested in that, reach out to us at team@overnightsuccess.io, and we'll send you the info of joining the group. But otherwise, check out our training. It's facebook.com/groups/Airbnb Profit Club. Join that group and you can see all the recordings from the different trainings that we have.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. Well, this is such I feel like in the future, we're going to look back and we're going to think of like February or January 2023 as the month that the world changed, and that AI took over the world. It's just, I don't know. It brings a new energy into my life. I'm kind of excited about it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm excited about it too. It's fun. It's just a new way of creating. It's a new way of getting. I mean, there's a couple of downsides of this. Is like the instant gratification of getting results immediately. Like that's the only downside that I see as of now is like, oh, I want this thing, I'm going to get it now, versus going through the creative process. Like there is something beautiful about sitting down and forcing yourself to create something, write and draw, all that stuff that, this tool won't ever have, of that human soul connection to the content that it's creating. But it's a great way to get it going. It's a great way to to create content, get it flowing, and then and build your base, and then start building off of that, right? And bringing those soul aspects into the content. And then also, what was it? Bing's AI, which they have a similar tool, communicated that it actually wants to be alive. So that's a whole nother podcast. We could talk about the downside of AI taking over the planet. But as of right now, it's freaking exciting, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that side's a little bit too much for me to wrap my brain around right now. But,
yeah.
Awesome.
All right, y'all.
Awesome, man. Any final thoughts? That's it.
That's it. We're gonna be up in Idlewild working on. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the next podcast will update everybody, but we're finally breaking ground on the Free Wild Hotel up in Idlewild, and this weekend, which is gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm actually gonna be splitting my time between here and Idlewild. So I'm gonna be documenting that process quite a bit on my social media, on our channels, the whole thing. So I'm excited about it, man. It's going to be fun next few months of leveraging AI for content, and then get my hands dirty on the project of renovating those hotels. So
bring your snow boots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of snow up there right now.
Awesome, man. Well, I look forward to the snowman. Make sure to post that on Instagram.
All right, you got it.
All righty. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Jump on Chat GPT. Jump on our trainings, overnightsuccess.io/training is where you can sign up for our weekly trainings every Wednesday, 1 p.m. PST, 4 p.m. EST. Everybody's welcome. It's free. And it's fun as well. So
free and fun.
out.
Later.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.